Janjo Bardo Dani Jabzon Je Andage Jenson Jebe Sonam Lola Benje Sanje Ndo Baraisho San Chedan Joje Zonam La Janjo Bardo Dani Jabzon Nage Jenso Jebe Sonam Je Lola Benje Sanje Ndo Baraisho Sanje Chedan Zoje Zonam La Janjo Bardo Dani Jabzon Je Age Jinso Jebe Sonam Jin Dola Benje Sanjen Do Baraisho. From now on till enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. From now on till enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha,
And
and by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Kange de jing zong dawa tanje tambe chere tambe chen tanje de koram de la cha za lo oda chini she ka ti chi bai na kunlong de chanchu ki sem ki simba shi ji che de teba chen bi chu indi kunlong de ya teba chen bi kunlong ki simba ji je wa de shi ji kai chen bor kan ji chu chu sun ro da min ro to to kunlong la ra le re de indi ka la shi ji kai chen bu cha go ro oda 맞아 군론대 줘야 돼 쉽게 좀 차비가래 수주인스
To begin with, it's always important, as we emphasize, what we are studying is the teachings that belongs to Mahayana or Greater Vehicle. So, accordingly, we should have intention of Mahayana's intention or altruistic mind. So that is important at the beginning.
안다 그산디 텐데야라 중이데 텐덴돈데 지디다 자지지 세지 주나 삼종스 디 오네 렘상 과야다 가버레 텐덴돈데 지데 렘상 과야다 가버레데 텐데야라 중이데 장강에 전지지 디니 수베 텐데야라 pakai tenden donde sitela samutabaina lunjungi tendegin rota ani ti ludoge tendegin rota de sopchu ko achaya le nega chembu shuji yare nei gengi ngama gengerge shita ugma khinzur ge peja thidi galati shibuji nembu chen songro koda khabu yare ngazu lomangbo samdana pe khabu towa ani jugo gyarmu sunje nande galati ngaman에 삼로지 땅인 뒤가라 이 경고를 뭐지 순준한데 가라 디 롱데 땅이다 아 미리진 사람은 좀 양한 차라진 거로 어디 시부진 내 첨보래 인도가라 맞아 텐데야라 중이데 당보 토경이는 텐데야라 중이 당보데 차상징에 버쳐와야 돼 뺏게 첨보래 도매 말이빠 니번 뒤지길래 순반 남시 지번 미수지리 텐데라 그랬다 텐델 라이언데 타니 따지고 미수지리 미수라 담이다요 인자 미수지리 때래 아니 가르사 지바 미수 마바레파 투바트로와 림바케체 파세파 우구파 렘바 주지바 시파 주니바 케와 주지바 케와 주니바 가시스 어다 두스치디가 되가라 다 텐덴 돈데 나라 가르수는 여르잖아 텐델라데 당보 예파 우근요몽 제송디가라 토메 마리 바데 직 예파 시퍼다 우바 렘바 기순데 타지 뇨몽레 해서 소레 니바 주바 레인데스 니바 뒤치기 레다나 주바 시파니 아니 레레 라레 라마다니 룽알로 라마 둔디요레 둔데 가래요레 든데난래 레야된 가라가래 레버래 다디 삼당고도 니번 뒤지기 리든 로차래 토메 마리 머로차래 니만 뒤지기 레 로차래 숨바 남시 지바 미주 ngapa rekpa tupa chorwa tupa rekpa dumba ngapa keche tupa rekpa dumba chorwa te ganla chuchi pa kewa da chuni pa gashi te dinde dungal re lar tati dungal res tati dungal lama dinde dungal indi gala tati le nyomo le dungal sunde nangla kopshakene en khoro khorchu che indugala gande sungure lamanen dungali sumpu tale es ta sumpu ta sedigala thome mariba juba sepa yepa sepa gupa lemba sumle eni le sagre es ka nibandu chi gileta juba sipani kigre sepani kigre es lare sepa ode tikigre es ni an sumbu tale ninjung de es tom de sumle ni sidugala ta le namba ni chungre es ni le dunjung ni le ani dungal ta lama dungal dunyoa oda dungal de jungre es ni le dunjung dunle kyang sumjung dungal de 양결 코로나라 때be 개갈라 소베 초발라 개갈라 소바티기 애니 뇽네 타마 시니 양결 애니베 레테왕 디왕게 둥알테왕게 애니 직 베기 뇽모숨데 끼그레 세르라레 뇽모숨텔레 양레켄 따도 세네 코라기 코로와 코르즈테 시양도가 다 오늘 땡을 찌마서 군용 쪽에 땡을 못 주는 거 와. 어디 코로나 콜줄 때 얼마나 때렸다. 누수진 수는 것도 와. 땡이가 땡을 중이데 내 봐시지. 대대 안에 용문 숨데 내 봐시지. 대가라니 배 즉 파게 레 니도 와. 애니 동안 눈도 와. 어디 되는 게 콜줄도 없지네. 즉 순드가라다 텐들 남만 주 맞아도 치마 텐들 고자는 거야. 도스치데 크로와스데다 오네 고랑 오네 거기도 와도 도스친 거기 데테 쓴 거래. 다 가사데 말한서 다 데베 타마 가와디 가시 텐들데 가나 개왕가 그래. 개왕가나 주바 세방가 그래. 주바 세방가나 구바 렘바가 그래. 구바 렘바가 소이나 예파 세파된가 그래. 예파 세파된가나 아니 따도 두신 토메 말이 받은 버동 가야 타는 시도. 딘 가사데 셰야데 룬중게 텐델 라게. 텐델 민 거라는 룬중 대기 셰야데 루도 텐델 도시. 룬중 텐델 데 셰데 다 토메 말이 받거든 가 그래. 시드가라 동이 무슨 또 용도가라 리펜 가든 미팅 쳐들라 무이킹 님부체니 그 가르잖아 동이 또비 셰랍데당 리펜 가든 기베 마리 바니 네체 나와도 문바나지 네체 차게 티진 순치야데 동이 또베 텐델만 순치 두고 아마레 동이 또베 텐델고 동이 원숭도 또 용도가라 디 텐데가 단지 말이 바랑아도 버려 태도든 짐바데 땡 따완 까르고 어디 두스지디가라 텐데디 룬중도 단지당 룬도 단지 니수다 룬중이 대단들아 군년 쪽에 텐데다 거기 나왔다 저사리 시고 그래 너가 저 사실 레벨에야 아니 배 동아지 이제 수도 자금 수도 오네 그래 맞아 시집도 sometime이나 맞아 이나가 직 동안 가린지 내가 터투지 땐 사원이 요마와 어때면 인사 룬중 쪽이 땡들더라 상무지다 닌 가타한테 상무지다 도치디 그래는 오늘 펜더용 그래 내가 그선 땡들 돈들 치대 때나마서 배 가고도 와
To continue with the, yesterday we talked briefly about, which was saying, 12 links of dependent origination. And so looking at the 12 links of dependent origination, I was thinking we should have that image. That one next to the wiki, that's an image that shows the 12 links of dependent origination. So to understand the entire cycle, it's first good to know, what are the 12 links, and it begins with the ignorance, and then second is connecting karma. Second is the karma, and third consciousness. Fourth is translated as a name and form, and then fifth sources of perception. 7 is feeling, 8 is craving, 9 is grasping, 10 is existence, and 11 is birth, and then 12 is aging and death. So any of these two, which means the aging and death really has no proper sequence. One of them could come before. There is no kind of establish kind of sequence for last one, aging and death. So first kind of having a understanding of what these 12 are, and once you have some rough understanding of these 12 are, then in the Buddha's own sutra of 12 links of dependent origination, or dependent origination sutra, he categorizes these 12 links of dependent origination sort of into a 3 grouping. So those 3 groupings, from these 12, the first one, which is ignorance, and then 8, which is craving, and then 9, which is grasping. So says the first 8 and 9, these 3 are ignorance, or delusion, or affliction. And then number 2 and number 10. Number 2 is the connecting karma, and then number 10 is existence. And these 2 are, it says, these 2 are karmic action, and then remaining are sufferings. So the remaining 7 are all comes under the category of suffering, and those remaining 10, if you exclude 1, 8, 9, 2, and 10, the remaining will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 11, and 12. And so these remaining will be suffering. So and then there's actually a verse in the Dependent Origination Sutra, and then says from the 3 it produces the 2. The 3 here refers to the 3 ignorance, which is number 1, number 8, and number 9. These 3 produces 2. The 2 here refers to the 2 karmic action, number 2 and number 10. And from these 2 produces those remaining sufferings, the number 7. So again, because of those 7, we we experience what is called cyclic existence, or samsara. And when we are in samsara, what we do is we again kind of create the 3 basic ignorance, which is number 1, 8, and 9. And because of again creating those 3 creates 2, which is karmic action, and from karmic action there's a suffering. So here what we see is how when we look at the 12 links of dependent origination, these kind of show us how we remain in the what we call cyclic existence, always in the cycle. So when we look at the sequences, what we see is one kind of link before kind of coming into cessation or coming into end. It already produces the another one. So there's a continuation of all these 12 links of dependent origination. And when we look at the generally dependent origination, we look at kind of 2 ways of cycle. One is, proper cycles. That is, first leads to, because of the ignorance, leads to the second leads to the third. And that is the proper, kind of a regular or more common cycle. The another is called what we call reverse cycle. The reverse cycle is how to free or liberate from cyclic existence. To understand that we need to look from the bottom to up at the list. So when there is no aging and death, then there will be no birth. When there is no birth, so it kind of goes from 12 to kind of in the reverse order. So this kind of the 12 links of dependent origination, understanding these 12 links and how they are correlated, help us to understand how we in a Buddhist understanding fall in the cyclic existence and remain in the cycle of all these 12 links. And as we mentioned yesterday about in the cyclic existence, as long as we are in the cyclic existence, although it appears that sometimes we call so-called the happiness and joy, but those are really as we mentioned yesterday, not genuine happiness or joy or happiness, but they are what we call contaminated. Basically, it's those seems to be happy, joyful state, but they are merely another stage of suffering. So understanding of this is definitely kind of hearing once or just looking at once won't be doesn't happen. So one needs to kind of read again and think again, and in order to make a sense or to have an actual understanding.
니바 친드린 구민에 봐스 다 오늘 가서 다정해 가지고 삼다 아니 미리인데 톱네 직 다시 템바레비 딱 말아도 누아 직 데리기 시고 말이 선이 시고 말이 더둥 로지기 시고 말이 삼선지 왕왕 쉬고 연구도 갈지 연구하래 대지 삼당고도 다 다기때가 따다 텐데라 중이나 오늘 내가 드디어 뭔가도 데데베 단진당 진진당 렌진당 되기때 아주 bomba쇼 초모 아니 지주 맞아지 꼼바이가 인상 디 니지기 라트기나 동 디 카와과 텐데다 카와 인서메 산산지 더동배 미지 치원을 안에 코드 치에데 나타 덩치 말해서 당당 인삼선 오늘 연구도 보다 되기디 지기야 말에 센스기 쓰고 말에 딱까지 천디링 민이비 치원마다 비슷해 줄 세드가라 오다 텐데기 샘달라 지 오란조다 삼로달린 교와다네 간디시 맞죠 내상 가르치도 현가 내숨 균념이 인제 중국어로 와. 현가 내숨 균념이 인제 숨비가라 할래비 되게 미답에 참에 도와주라. 아무 땅거를 마도 자석이 배지마서 온다진데 텐데를 삼단데 땅나 현가는 균념이 있는데 로바비아 8절이 열바. 계지게 타봐야 봐. 말아도 되나 자석이 배지마서 삼단이나 기니 네바데 술로 야닝이 요리 술로 저기 주고니 요리 술 개마타도 칭해 요리 이거가 개간니 니숨 tingέμ이 시디가라 자서지까지만 상가나 용양도 다 통득이지만 바게 개간은 숨 tingέμ인데 깨지만 참으로 삼다가 있나 따다요 그럼 끼리 그럼 끼리 대가랑 라는 용을 가봐요. 네 발인 가봐요. 그래서 어떻게 통통이마다 요 말에 이제 통통지나 요한 누구 얘가 배 두시네 진짜 이 요아 참어 이거 땡기 아니 요아 아파트게 용거를 마도 요라 참을 기는 마트 빈도라 아파트 롱시야 그래요 말봐. 와다 텐디지 삼단 텔랑 해빠진 얘기가 아니 뭐네 지 체디라 닝보메야 체디 생인데 지 하기 첸디기 자자 코나가 로초바이나 대삼시 다 리기 통순 소박 위안인데 아니 겨치만 진짜 취재하라 뭐니 로가차가지 계시게 담아 용그래서 여름 승도와 어다 여기 유부담바 남을 생각에 계획이 어다 라진디기 유부담바기 가능도 어다 되는 거라 맞다 소소 나존이나 얘네 요한테 자원이니가 말이야 원장 가래요 라마 생김이 자가 오늘 zamnin sai zamdo kyoyalas chik tendigi lama za chembo kibutamba kibjin namani dormuji oda tendigi enipe lama ngone juve wanchu dene mangushin jeya kegete no sunji ginji tobiya oda tegete ichijene no koranto chik 가족 수만은 드라마 전 루마니아 바당이 유튜브야 막 가족 소소 내바데 오다 두신 시가 말아 전 똑바로 되는데 내가 이게 말이야 오다 두 제비 다들 원에 아주 라마 이부터만 심니 잡아 람거리 신이 때때는 이제는 되는게 순균한테 순구야 인사 오다 두수 상당과에 상당하게 주야된 인간데 두수야 오다 때 이거라 집 오다 집 맞아 경관 승리 중나 경관은 좀 빙능이 있어야 돼 그지만 처음에 가서 상당과에 오다 두수 뭐 맞아 버렸어 뭐 그래 오다 이 상당들아 신들이 가사 니바 신들이 눈이는 거 좋아합니다가 삼백줄라 하서 다 때문에 마다 된 로드지스
Going back to the the mind training like the rays of the sun text, we are at the section where text deals with the impermanence and especially the impermanence of death and dying. So we attend this precious human rebirth, and when we attain this precious human rebirth, this thought comes really kind of naturally to us. That in the back of our mind we have saying that I'm not going to die today and not tomorrow and next week, next year. So, and where does this thought come from? And even when we see somebody dying, we really kind of the thought process we have is it's really kind of it is kind of focus kind of giving attention totally outside, and we look at the other individual who is dying, then feel that he or she is dying maybe because of illness or whatever reason, but you really don't change that way of looking towards yourself. Aren't you the same thing? Aren't you going to die? So, and that happens out of what we call in Buddhism the sense of a strong permanent or truth grasping or grasping to permanent. Kind of very sort of natural feeling that basically I'm going to stay for a long time, if not forever, that I'm not going to die, and you might use whatever reason that because I'm healthy or young but we have that kind of sense of sort of permanent, staying for a long time, and so with the understanding of 12 links of dependent origination, that is the one reason, because of being in the cyclic existence for so long, in the past life, we are very much kind of familiar with the concept of being permanent and being kind of sort of independent and so on and so forth. And here the understanding of impermanence is really helpful. And when we look at the impermanence, as you know, impermanence having a two different level, one being a grosser level and one is much subtler level. And in the study of the logic text in Buddhist, we find such expression as the coming into being or birth or production, and then cessation, production, cessation, and then the existence. These three actually happens at the same time. Now, this concept it's not easy to understand from the very rough understanding of impermanence. The rough level of impermanence, what we called the end moment of one action. When one action or one thing or coming into kind of cessation or destruction, whatever you call, we see that kind of in a much grosser level. We see impermanence very kind of obvious, destruction or dying. But that kind of understand cannot be applicable to the extremely subtle impermanence understanding, which in here we mentioned about birth, existence, cessation being coming into happening at the same time. And so because at the very gross level, when we talk about birth, there's a very kind of we have that sequence. First, it starts with the birth, and then after coming into existence through birth, then there is a period of the actual kind of existence, and then comes the cessation. So it goes through a series of processes, coming into giving a birth or taking a birth. Then some might live up to 100, some might live up to 18, some might die immediately after being born, and we see kind of that kind of sequence. But when you look at the very subtle, extremely subtle, nature of the momentary changes, then there's no way that we can differentiate when is the time that we came into being, when is the time that we came into cessation, when is the time that we are still existing. Extremely subtle that we cannot actually differentiate. So that's the reason why we come out with this expression that all these three happens at the same time. And so whatever the big changes that we see has to be because of subtle changes, because of the subtle changes, very kind of minute, small changes, and the coming of all those small changes then later brings the big changes. So here, if one has a good understanding or strong conviction of how and the nature of impermanence, and which is nature of ourself and our way of life, when you see and have the strong conviction of the impermanence, then one will have a really kind of genuine understanding or feeling that this human life, is kind of without sort of really essence, and the lifetime that we have is nothing but all changing all the time. It's very short. So one becomes more kind of long term, oriented. One thinks about what about not this life only, but more about future life. So so that way it would be really helpful. And with that kind of long term, long oriented understanding of a short life, you can make one's short life very meaningful, effective, something beneficial. And so Kajila is saying that whatever he is sharing here is the teachings of the great teachers of the lineages of Lamrim traditions, and great teachers like His Holiness, and he is kind of basically the passing us the information and the understanding that he has from those great teachers and lamas, and doing whatever he can best, and because he himself has is not sharing out of his own experience or realization, but just kind of sharing what he learned from his great teachers.
풍족 탐지기 자와지대 제출 셈바당 치와 미다바 삼시 꼼바트베 하인 니니 하인 니 니치 내조 탐지 그 고지고 시바자오 세 어다 때문에 니치 내조 첸디 말한주 미다발라 내가야 오시 미다본 무슨 마다나야 미다발라 내가야 아버지니 도시에나 아랑기 군주에대한 미들 초라 셈디양 미들 초라 만로 가자 두두지 레베 초라 이 왕기 융아기 넘길대양 접어상고 거야 시선미 융아기 넘길 야가요 대세 지기 아니 니다냐도 굉장히 지도를 편받아야지 깨끗깨끗 한번 연구라 인기가 생긴데 때리지나 나 치마 빈체가 쉐모아 때리자 뭐네 디고 즉 반대 근처 야버지는 디바 근처 디 이게 디부대 여와 치마 야버지가 쉐모아 그 사페 아니 나르베 라신 기타나 디부대 나르고는 그 명어 주고도 와. 지금 문den체 구문도 와. 리버 땅 구문도 와. 공문숨도 주는 거 같고. 어다 뜻은 되지. 이 니가 미칠라다 탐지기 자와를 세거네. 어다 뜻고 와. 오지 부셔 봐줘. 시범 미다바 삼바 대양 신디 루이 롱제 니 저소라 마차도 왕기. 대장자 와라. 잡아게 와라. 난라 이 마샤베 치와레 트라루인데 딜테타 교아미노 세와다데 뭐니 가자 에인두가라 넘넘고 신민도 수도 쉐바라지 취제와라 가스 가르고 치고 이거는 와 소소 댕지야 있나 배는 벤저 첨부지 가바진도 그이나 소소 먹고도 당나 여기 가라 보통 제리체 지리제는 내야라고도 아무도 시다시나 내가 가서 손해지나 이 갈래도 와 뭐다 뜻인가 자 뭐니 최파 야버지 냠네 야버지 쟁인지나 용모 돈인지 용모로 가대자 아니 여기 저도 공부했다는 셈노나 즉 잠바도 저와도 생기인데 렌 수완 나신지체네 아니 라기 생기라 이 덴바친 투스치가 데니어레 이 치가나가 네피처스 좀바 네피처스 그러지마가 가지게요 어디 데니어 어디 데존이지 즉 추바르지 치와라가 하마데 민겨라 파티 여러메스 니 mambo지라도 알람 라마다바 mambo 프랑세베 하나 많이 산데게 gen고텐데게 다 만 저거 주는 선들랑에 배야부지 많이 야부사이 다 지나치다 가시던가 배 니리 워싱턴 데발레 다가 저치마 치쳐져 인생 생에 망부무도 와 어다 되게디 뭐니 즉 천디 밀리터비 동고 쳐가지고 그게 팔자 중대요 어다 뒤뒤리 대인들가 지가 뭐니 자그 말을 돼 유정 엄마도 와 땅아 직 신디 아니 배 녀몽 차당 무슨 아니 주제 주신 미지되지라 아니 배人生 미지되지라 이 마치고 거는 내셔인데 아니 신디 마치다 아니 교화치만다 치가라 마치기면 나빠이 마치로서 라비아 용도 와 가르치는 용도 와 신디들란 데브린들라 니제데 뜬나 마담 베시 자와던 뜨메기 자와 미르 초라 셰지지데 딱고 에 교화치마 케일네 롱 말렌 롱 뇨이 뇨토니다 직고 뇌 니츠데 고 간동한선도 동아요 바 동아요 바 교화치마 엔다 다파데 기고와 왔다 텐디디가라 계속 뭐네 미다바 상노다 최야버지 도시나 다바키기 말이스 온 히마레 승거라 오나 강냠나 레기 왕기 인삼저와 탐제 지와레 만데바 딸 잡아치게 레지 가버 미니메 스피모연네즈로와 수지기 여와치마나 가투야 소왕 미치아서 투야 미도 인산체리베 베 뒤서 링도 당다 베 자긴 진다지 쳐보고네 뒤서 또서 링도 미치아 링도 당거마다 땡이 미치와서 투야 짱이네요 말 수지기 디네 원경 지딩 치매 된 두바 마중 빠르 치와라 지바지 대삼나 대타 tumne 치가 미라바 잘 예비 치로 스타 치와 즉 뭐니 레용도 토도 마비용도 가라 치와메 베제야라 따기 공도 주는 나한테 딱 뭐니 그래서 개발되냐나 즉 인생메바 까지 도도 타나 미남 진짜라 전주기 선나 니제도 동이도 belto와단 때릴라 즉 미남 순질레 녀야지 조이나 어때 개와치마 로갈라 갔다라 네 잡아메 거네 러시 진로야 어다 디기디 다 딘상 세야다 마다 나비 오네 냠냠 첼된 디기디 아니 시시 참메가도 아니 베 지 어선 몬드큐네 아니 대가로 즉 타게 토다나 주네 로네 로도 지가 나와 중에 아니 눈다 숨 중에 눈다 린 중에 니망아 또 던지 중에 딱 오네 나라 통을 지가 두지 통로 딱 과야라다 다네 돼 버리 오네 던디 요야 아주 야버째나 아주 던지기 시와 토라 빠연데 걸라 지야지 중아 타마 루저 잡에 맞은 베지 오네 저부 자 상tem바나 진짜네 박사리 지야요지 거다 들리지 삼다네 신디라네 배 가서 지 네비링달라 삼노야고 있다 아니 레베 졸라 가서 뚝뚝지 레베 졸라 삼노다바이나 위대양 코 오네 지 위가서래 다코 니바 제베왕기 게인 코츠데 카투비아요 마르테 lui nyamiachi ngaranto trakpadang tindi tokpadang re tindi wangi lui pagi lusu nyamgirisede sungdoa amjigang gemgoramchite sungdoa oda tindi janju senda tindi la koti na samtana tindi lusu nyamiade den zaini yoma tindi choji lusu nyamiang galkenji rangi chetunga도 가차래 다코 미다바 인자 그 니바 냠베고니 다 리게신 콘로야 돼 비가트야요 마 다디 수제 가트야요 마 디에니 베 장주기 셈고니 데가 가트 그러잖아 갸준을 마다 데 뭐이니 수 말해 와다 도수래 아제 리 대당나 팽겨래
If you have a textbook, it's on page 26. Page 26, how to think about brevity of this life, death and impermanence. We should think about how being unmindful of death is the main cause of the whole heap of mistakes performed in this and future lives, and how familiarity with death and impermanence is advantageous. The sole means of achieving everything excellent in this and future lives. So in this kind of long sentence, we see two points here. The first one is before going on to this paragraph, the important thing to remind ourselves constantly is that we are not something permanent. We are not going to stay forever. So reminding of our own kind of I would say exploration that and the what is mentioned here is that how being unmindful of that is actually a cause of many mistakes. So if you don't think, or if you don't have awareness of that we are dying, that we are impermanent, or on the other side, if you have a feeling of I'm staying forever, and then that itself becomes a cause of as mentioned here, whole, gathering of mystic, whole group of mystic is performed simply by this kind of thought, wrong thought that I'm going to stay forever. And but on the other hand, if you are kind of through your practice, if you become really familiar with the impermanence nature of our life, and strong awareness of death and dying, then that itself, the thought itself, having that thought itself is a great advantages. With that thought, then we can turn our entire life into something very meaningful. Where that kind of thought, because of that thought, it will kind of force, or it will kind of naturally lead us into engaging in all kinds of positive activities, physically, verbally, mentally. And when we engage in positive activities all the time, every time, it will bring happiness and good to yourself as well as to your surroundings, the neighbors. So there's an immense kind of a benefit, advantages of just being very aware of our own kind of exploration, or the limited time and impermanence. So here the text says, the soul means for achieving everything excellent in this and future life. Actually, the awareness or the meditation or the practice of death and dying and impermanence is one of the sole way to achieve all excellent knowledges. And when you perform something or engage in positive activities, what this also entails is that because of engaging in the positive activities or virtuous activities, but you don't have to worry about your future life if you are believing in the the future rebirth, because you are planting the seed, which is very positive, and so therefore you don't need to worry about the result. It's like when you plant the seed, which is by nature produce sweet sweet fruit. As long as you plant the seed well, you don't have to worry about whether the fruit will come sweet or not. It will come, of course, because of the cause and effect precepts. So so you really need to you really don't need kind of the reasoning or logic that I did good thing, therefore I should be having a good result. It happens automatically. It's the sort of law of the nature or cause and effect. The next part, the fear of being separated from your body. I'm reading the second paragraph. The fear of being separated from your body, possessions, and relatives of this life to which you are attached, caused by thinking about that, is not the fear intended here, for that is the fear of one who has no understanding of the path. So here this talks about the suffering, the problems, the difficulties of those who don't have, sufficient, or those who don't have understanding of the impermanence and death and dying. So for those, what usually they kind of their problem is, there's a sense of all this fearness, of separation, beginning with your own body, then with your possessions, then with your family members, your life, whatever that you are attached to. And without understanding of the impermanence and death and dying, these will come. We go through these the problems. So and here the text says that to somebody who has an understanding of death and dying, impermanence, this fear doesn't mean anything to those who knows how to those who knows impermanence and death and dying, because they already know the reality that they have to go through the process of nature, and it does this doesn't cause become a source of problem. What is this about? Before reading this, so therefore we mentioned in earlier teachings about practitioners. The best practitioners, one way of understanding is, for the best practitioners, they're always they actually feel there's a feeling of joy, happiness. They embrace death and dying instead of becoming source of problem and the fear and all those. And then even the practitioners who are kind of at sort of in the level, if they come at the last the worst kind of practitioner, they even have that at least I don't have a regret, how I spend my entire life. And this kind of having a not regret, we see this kind of common expression in many lamas, practitioners, even among ordinary people, when in the Buddhist culture, when, people, senior people, the aged people, they carry their, the prayer wheels in the hand, and then it's a very common expression that, saying such as, now I'm prepared to leave at any time, I have no regret at all, of my life, and that kind of, the confidence, it shows that, they did something, something good, something positive, constructive, and looking at their back, they really have this, confident sense of satisfaction that even if there is, rebirth or future life, that they're going to be something, that then they are not going to be kind of, falling into more suffering. But on the other hand, somebody, who, looking at the back at the time of death and dying, and if they had, spent their life mostly kind of engaging in destructive or negative or non-virtuous or something, very kind of harming others, then the time of dying, they think about all what they did, and it becomes really scary, even if they don't believe in rebirth. But what they did in their lifetime makes that really kind of scary, that not wanting, and still there's a clinging to one's own body, one's own relative, and then what mentioned in the text, the not wanting to separate it from what you have and around yourself. And the fact is that to continue with the reading here, what is this about? Everything that is born from a union of parents due to the forces of action and disturbing emotions is bound to die, and although you may fear, it cannot be avoided. The fact is that the reality is that the death is inevitable. We have to face it, and so far there is no way that we can fix this problem. Through scientific technology advancement, improving health, and many other the medicine or treatment, we manage to make our life longer. Kind of increasing of the timing or life, but there still is no remedy, to kind of fix that, problem of death and dying, and so that is inevitable, and so moreover, until we have accomplished the purpose of our future lives, we will continue to fear death. And in Buddhist practices, we have practice such as blessings or recitations or practice of long life. There are particular practice or recitations or that you do. Those can have a impact of living life a little longer. But however, there is no fixing of the death itself. We have to face it. If you think about that and realize it at the time of death, you will have no fear. So basically, if you have lived your life, in a very good way, positive way, there's no fear at all at the time of dying. And the actual, I'm reading continuously, the actual ways to think about death are to reflect on the inevitability of death, the uncertainty of the time of death, and that only the doctrine can help. Actually, I think I haven't finished reading this part. So having your life spent in a meaningful way, in a positive way, such as the practice of love, compassion. Because when we look at the looking back at our life and how we have spent, we have spent or we are spending. There are two things that we can look at. The one is, when we look at our own process of body's aging and illness, and what we see is it's a very natural process that once we born and age and grow, the ability of the body, maintain its kind of I don't know, energy or youthness. It's a natural process that it will sort of degenerate and it will get old, and then and there's really no kind of solution to kind of fix that. Otherwise, we can fix the problem of death and dying, but that's not the case. The other case is that because of we talk about this in previous teaching about the mental hygiene, to put it a kind of more proper way. Thinking positively, maintaining a positive state of mind, it can help us to act as what we call having a good immune system, and with healthy mind we can have a healthy body, and we can do that through practice of altruistic mind, love, compassion, all those positive emotions. And so there's a true thing, and one in which we can fix the to some extent problem, and if that is the case, why not do it to make our mental so, but the other one, there's really no solution. So for Buddhist practitioners, as mentioned earlier, if you have practiced well at the time of dying, let alone feeling of kind of fearness and attachment and problem, one can have a very smooth dying with the actually great sense of satisfaction that you have spent your life so well and meaningful. And not only that, after passing away or leaving this body, consciousness, when it enters into intermediate stage, it uses what we call, the subtle clear light, and then, and by kind of holding on to that, what we commonly call kind of, although clinically dead but not dead, so some people can stay up to several days, weeks, and months. And Geshe-la said he himself has at least seen. Geshe-la has translated. 장가도 오시려서 그랬더니. So he saw kind of, or he has experience, seeing three like at least three kind of four practitioners. It was mentioned about the abbot of Gomang, ex-abbot of Gomang, and a couple of great Mongolian practitioners, Buddhist monk, and then one practitioners in Ladakh, and when they passed away, kind of maintaining what we call the Tibetan word is tuktam, which means holding on to the mind. Physically or clinically it's dead, but they are still kind of in the meditative state. And but those are the one that he has actually seen, and there are many others that he heard about, but not actually seen it. And some, the one that he mentioned, the practitioners in Ladakh, when he passed away, actually. He is the practitioners of the 6 sessions of Naropa, the Kagyu practitioner, and when he passed away, in the process of passing away, when what we call the external, in wind or air, the exhaling and inhaling has totally stopped. There's no respiration, but inside there's still subtle air. So it's the process of dying, and that happened. There was, people here, kind of religious instrument playing from his house, although there's nobody inside. So there are many auspicious kind of signs, and some, when they passed away, they left what we call relics from their body. So these are the further kind of sort of signs that when even person when after during a time of dying, instead of going through a problem and suffering, this kind of signifies their achievement of actually what and how they have spent their life. So as a practitioner, we can definitely, at the time of dying, through our practice, making our life meaningful, and we can have also that kind of experience, making our last period of our life something very smooth, with calmness, and with full sense of satisfaction.
오다 치워 마템비 꾼디 셔차니 다 치워 미다바 삼베 출무니 있다 치워 미다바 삼베 출무에데 가르서다 치왕 네바 삼다 아니 남치라 참메바 치유세 치마도 관계장 민법의 숨숨스의 sabje 숨진이 숨우도와 다 치왕 네바데 디숭다 당분이 치당 네바롱데 류 진다시 란짱 치와레 만데 솜레 강양 상게 란상이 년대 남기 상게 남기 년대cap 율린디니 폰제나 기어팔바 메치고 예수 율 강는다냐 치미수베스다 디 준주부치레 율 강는게 치미수베 양땡이레 강도 내나 치미수베 사전디니 요바 마인데 parnana gyatsun nalame rionam ke sadu juname je oda tusjine wa chiwala dressada tharsada tende ke yo mare tende mende kewa tamje chiwa insiade we nechu du chade kewa tamje ngaba je we nechu da di namji kya chiwa le mandete yang tengi le jundan jungwan gyuwa jingyepa 군기 류디 땅에 로와다 대군지바 케베 또기니 출레니 양에버 저버제스 제소 치달라 드비 미타르진 켄깡게가 다도메바 세도와다데 뭐니 치왈레 트레니 타레요 마리 켄깡은 람림 sabjeti 치부치깡도 켄깡게 다도메바 아니베 치힌망 순켄뉴 아니 춘켄디양 갈켄도 도와요 와서 람람는 드리스 subject 함그도 보다 대소문에 subject 하나는 삼다나 도서 즉 삼다는데가 지금에서 삼선 연구도 돼 에네소소 단지슈 좀보여다 배자다 가게비 대양 맞은 바 연구도 와 삼놓고 막으로 연구도 보다 된소리 빼만 보아래 보다 나도 최바선이지 최베탈란데 최바지 배자달로 아니 즉 오늘 즉 계속 삼는 nembo 마다나 야즉 고 염주란도에 있는가 저 빼침버리 이 야볼라 담발레 페르나 초지 리오 쳔베상 템바 닝보 탄덴 마지파 망가파 템바메파 신도 마테파 치투디바지네 리질라 질라 사탄 신당 신결와당 얄가당 로마 탐제 심제 소자 망보 탐제 케마르 타지 봉알라니 마냠베 트밤 톱길도밤 노르길도밤 제당 나당 맨남길도바 도퍼라와니 마이노 이가보침보 티진도 지바침보 지분디다 온데 테타 람라 교 테타 람 교페 드밤 톱길도밤 제당 나당 맨남길도바니 마이노 지칸시나 가와당 나와당 치와당 우구바시 다시 모네티르와다 맹기 또또스 겹두고 아래 땐니메야지 맹기 겹두고 말이 왕당 딱 오니 니바 연데긴 두젠 텐데기 장아 겜니 또또스 마타야라 소바 네타야라 소바 쟁기 진데긴 된 달야라 소바 텐데다 용고아래 땐니메야지 투야 코란 야마래 오다 제당마 시디가라 다 라마기 지금 아주다 라마 텐디기 거기나 남도 링아 둘에 안다 대소 또또서 팽겨래 ngone pengor kago de karsa depression tenela penpengido to suda pengido wata kago jeada 다지 되니 와서 침체 당야다 다디 순고르제야도 가지 순너백경이 저와 너백경인데 파매서데 순야던달라 순고르대도 되겨와 보다 되죠 즉 그러나 두이 차겨와 맨기는 아주 통제스로 와 뭐참 누구 와래 보다 되지 가래 너 투야요 말에 이게 때니 미게알도 엘라 가투 말이스 na teni mineyala katu mares teni michiala katu mares teni migupala katu mares suba tati pada totos chi azu shiala ka tingyo ma teni tetra tingyo ma jabo chimbo gawane rana pape jomshi nawan ne me pa jomshi gupani puzu soba tamje jomshi chiwani so jomshi de 대단하니 예비 주방 똑게 도방 너게 도방 제당 나다 맨는게 도방이 마이노 세 와다도 쓰는 이게 상담에 즉 가서 왔다 상담에 다 지원 치왕 네바트 삼당고 어떻듯 때니 인도가는 다 오늘 즉 남아 두치 안지 개바 맨진단제 어떤 제 누가 뉴젠 때리 가지나 때니 치왕에가 가는 인사 치왕 네는 맞아지 어떻게 삼당에도 무바지가 돼 대치부치 잘모르겠어 이니시아션
the actual ways to think about death reflect on the inevitability of death. So there are 3 points, to do the actual practice of on impermanence. 3 points. The first one is reflecting on the inevitability of death, and second is uncertainty of the timing of death, and then third is at the time of that only the doctrine can help at the time of death. At the time of death, what will help is your practice, that what you have done. The first one, the inevitability of death. Death is certain to come because no one who has a body can avoid dying. In the special verses collected by topic, so text, it says, if Buddha's solitary realizers and hearers have all abandoned their bodies, what can be said about ordinary beings? In whatever land you may live, you can never avoid death. The same text says, wherever you live, you are not immune to death, neither on the earth in any direction, nor in space, nor within the ocean, nor if you were to hide amidst the mountains. Even taking rebirth does not avert death. The same text says, the wise have understood that those of the past and those who are yet to come have given up this body and are subject to destruction. Therefore, abide in the doctrine and practice with determination. So, actually, the way of teaching, we will find the same way of understanding in the stages of Path Lamrim text. That to help us to understand this, the death is certain, and when we look at our sort of lifestyle or livelihood, there are many things which are supposed to be, supporting our life to make us basically stay alive. Food, facilities, and then there are many other things that could easily become, the cause of our death. And when you compare these two, the factors and the conditions and the causes that might take our life is much, much more than the supporting factor. In fact, many of the supporting factors, such as food, driving, etc., they are supposed to be helped, but they become sometimes the cause of our death. So, understanding, of all this, we see this in the Lamrim, the stages of Path text, and these are kind of helpful, to kind of reflect on our own way of life. especially for practitioners, because when we read the book, sometimes it looks really kind of convincing, something helpful, but once we close the book and go out, then we usually don't kind of think about what we studied. So bringing this into kind of constant awareness. Continue with the reading. The Sutra of Advice for a King, which is a text or scripture, says, suppose 4 great mountains in the 4 directions, solid, stable, essential, uncrumbled, uncracked, unblemished, very hard, extremely dense, and touching the sky were to be overturned. The grass, forest, tree trunks, branches, all the leaves, all the living beings and creatures would be crushed into the smallest particles. These would not easily be avoided by escaping quickly or with strength, nor by wealth, substances, mantras, or medicine. O great king, likewise the 4 great fears cannot easily be avoided by escaping quickly or with strength, nor by substances, mantra, or medicine. What are these 4? Old age, or aging, sickness, death, and decline. O great king, old age comes with the destruction of youth, sickness with the destruction of health, decline comes with the destruction of all your fortune, and death comes with the destruction of life. They cannot easily be avoided by escaping quickly or with strength, nor with wealth, substances, mantras, or medicine. So, in this scripture, we find kind of 4 basic human suffering or problem, beginning with the old age, sickness, death, and declining. And what we usually use in order to kind of stay healthy or long time, we rely upon strength, maybe physical health, or by substances, treatment, medicine, or we sometimes rely upon blessings by higher spiritual teachers or beings, or we it says the medicine. So these are we do believe that these are helpful in sometimes the ritual or ceremony of healing helpful for like a problem like a depression, and we make sometimes amulet with the blessed or relics, and to protect us from non sort of other spirits or beings harming us. How they do however help us, but not in the solving the problem of dying. Even what we consider kinds of these solutions, so mentioned here, substances, mantra, or medicine, or strength, and with strength or wealth or substances, mantras, or medicine, and so the point is, the first point, that is inevitability of death. That is something that cannot be avoided, and so with this kind of reading or understanding, we should be reflecting and have an understanding of that. That is something that cannot be escaped. I will take a break here.